I love doing this maintenance. It gets me out here and into all this beauty, and I get to do something awesome for people as well. All right, Joe, so we're headed down a little spur trail here. This campsite has a number of tent pads to it. And so we're going to take a look at how those tent pads look. And while we're on our way down this trail here, we're just going to take a look and see if there's any vegetation encroaching on the trail, and that could be up above or it could be right along the sides of the path. So we want to make sure that both of those areas are clear for people to come through. You don't think about it, but most people are taller than I am. And then those tall people sometimes have really tall packs. And so you don't want those branches hanging out ready to snag their packs as they're hiking through, or have anything directly on the path here that people might trip over or might get snagged on along the way. All right, so we're heading into our first tent pad here to do a little inspection and see how things look. So when we come to our tent pads here at the campsite, there are a few things that we're looking for. First of all, we're looking at the ground, seeing if there's anything on the ground that would get in the way of somebody setting up camp. That could be really big rocks that nobody wants to sleep on. Could be some fallen trees that are in the way of people setting up. Looking around, seeing how the trees look in the area. Is there anything that looks like it could come down on its own anytime soon? And we don't want it to fall on anybody. That would be a bad deal. All right. But this tent pad looks pretty good. I think other than that tree, we're looking pretty good here. Here we are at the central part of the campsite where our one and only legal fire ring exists. And hopefully it is the only one at the campsite here. So looking at the fire ring, it looks like it really needs some TLC.
We've got some issues.
A lot going on there. So we definitely want to get those logs out of the way. We're going to remove the ash down to the bare ground, and we have a shovel and a bag to do that with. And there's some man-made things in there, some trash, so we need to make sure that we get that out of there as well. We want it to be as pristine as we can get it before we leave the campsite today.
Yeah, it looks kind of gross right now.
Yeah, it needs some help.
Yeah.
Not looking too good. All right, so we're going to grab the shovel here to get the ash out of there. So, funny story about the shovel, actually. So last fall, I was in here doing this very thing. And most of the time when I come in here, there aren't really any people here. But the campsite was full that morning. And so I'm walking up the trail carrying a shovel, and I see some rather concerned looks on people's faces. Like, who is this stranger carrying a shovel and why? People get a little nervous about that for some reason. I don't know why. So when I made my way in, I said, housekeeping. And that way they knew that I was here to do some maintenance on the campsite. And I did explain to them that that was why I was here. So the cool thing about coming in when there are people at the campsite is you get to talk to them and see what kind of adventure they're on. And also, they just really love seeing us out here doing this work, and they're generally really appreciative of all of the work that we're doing to keep our trails nice for them to come visit. Okay. All right, so let's address this fire ring here. So first of all, I'm going to take these burnt logs out and probably just put them over to the side here.
You always want to make sure that the fire ring is not hot, that there hasn't been a recent fire.
That's a good idea. All right, so we got some ash to get out of here. Got to bring the shovel in and a bag that we're going to dispose of later. So when we're doing this, we want to really get like completely down to that bare ground. All right, so we're a pretty good distance from the campsite now. We're just going to go over here in the thick a little bit, off the trail. We don't want these ashes to really be visible to our campers, so this seems like a pretty good spot. So we're just going to take our bag. Oh, look, it looks like there was a deer here. There's some matted down grass. That's pretty cool. All right, so we're just going to dump the ash here. scatter it around, kind of make things look as natural as we possibly can. The other thing that we want to be mindful of when it comes to scattering our ashes is that we don't want to do it anywhere near a body of water. So it just so happens that there is a little creek that runs through this campsite. So we just want to make sure that when we dump the ashes, it's not near the creek or any other body of water. So the other thing that we're going to do in this area is look at our furniture here. So as I understand it, there might be some changes coming to some of the campsite furniture.
Yeah, not every Superior Hiking Trail campsite will have benches like this.
Okay.
We're going to be moving towards more natural benches.
All right.
Like you'll often see in the Boundary Waters canoe area. And so, you know, when you come to a campsite, you may not see something that looks like this. It might look very different, so there may not be much to do.
Okay.
In regards to campsite furniture.
Sounds good. So what we're looking for is really, like, is it stable? You know, can people sit on these things and be okay? So we want to check all the areas here where there are screws and nails, make sure everything feels sturdy, nothing's too shaky.
No nails poking out?
Yeah, no nails poking out, because that's just not that comfortable.
No.
We definitely don't want anybody falling off into the fire ring, so we don't want anything to be loose in terms of these boards here. And I do always carry a hammer and nails with me to the campsite just in case we need to address those things. But really, right now, this one is looking like it's in pretty good shape.
This one will last a while.
Yeah. You know, as is the case with any journey, we have saved the best for last here at the campsite. So it's latrine inspection time.
My favorite.
I know, right? It's just the best. So what do we want to do here with the latrine? First of all, we want to look at the structure of it. So we want to take a look around, see, you know, that it's intact. It looks to be pretty good. I don't see any cracks or any big chips out of it or anything like that. So that part, the riser part of it, actually looks pretty good.
What's going on down there?
Yeah, see, this is another area we want to check. This is a little bit bigger problem here. So these latrines, some of these latrines are on runners. So this used to be a piece of wood that was on, and now it's just kind of rotting away. So that is probably something that will need to be addressed. We'll need to look at getting new runners for that, or a new riser, whatever the case may be. But definitely, you know, not going to last too much longer in its current condition.
Yeah.
So another thing that we want to be aware of when we're inspecting our latrine is how deep is the waste in the latrine, because we really want to establish, is there a need to redig the latrine? Measure from the top of the waste that's in there to ground level. All right, not to the top of the riser, because that would be way too late. Judging by what I'm seeing here, this one definitely needs to be redug. All right, so we're going to have to come back out here at a separate time. One of the elite latrine digging squad members will come out and dig a new hole for this latrine.
Now, you happen to be a member of the elite latrine digging squad.
I do, yes, yeah. I do.
But not most campsite adopters are, and that's okay.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, so that's a whole nother way that people can get involved in the hiking trail association, is by becoming a member of that elite latrine digging squad. And it's, you know, needless to say, not a glamorous job by any means, but a very necessary one.
With great bragging rights.
Absolutely, right. It's you know, it's really a privilege actually to be on that squad. So yeah, so we'll come back out here and get a new hole dug for that latrine. All right, Joe, so that pretty well completes our campsite maintenance here.